More Heart Than Talent Radio.
More Heart Than Talent Radio is brought to you today by my book, The Procrastination Cure. Do you avoid errands, chores, and tasks frequently? Do you put off making decisions because you feel overwhelmed emotionally? Do you avoid prospecting for your business? If you are committed to letting go of your procrastinator identity, begin the process of change so you can finally go from procrastinator to producer. To receive your free copy now, go to goldenmastermind.com/pro.
It is with great insight and inner knowing that I'm able to bring to you tonight a topic that I've not covered before, the language of empowerment. And what does empowerment really mean? And to be empowered means to be in a level of energy, in a very high level of consciousness, where you're separate from anxiety, fear, and doubt in conscious awareness. And when you are empowered, you're not going to be in conflict. You're not going to be in force. You're not going to be avoiding the outcome. You're going to be in a relaxed body. You're going to be here, and you're going to be now. So as you begin to separate your feelings from the events that shape them, you will no longer be the mind-body connection to the anxieties that keeps you avoiding your own success, that keeps you from living the good life. As you become empowered, you will also no longer have tendencies of relapse when you relapse back into a state of anxiety, which then can lead to the more physical relapses, which can be food, it can be drugs, alcohol, compulsive debting, spending, sex, anorexia, bulimia, any multitude of situations that allow you to be in apathy, a very low level of energy where you self-loathe yourself. Now, as you begin to step into your power, and power means that you're in a state of gravity where you're not in any kind of conflict. There is no friction. The communication style between you and your brain is in line, is in an alignment. It is one with. I was speaking to a woman last night. I was just listening to how many times she said yes in a relatively short period of time, 15 times in a few minutes. I mean, this is how the English language gets chopped up, hacked up, and abused by people who can't commit. So to be and stay empowered, you'll be and stay organized. You'll be in a state of flow. You'll be in a state of enlightenment. And you'll be in a state of energy where people will show up differently to you. So if you, for instance, if you're a real estate agent and you put a lot of energy and you have to sell this house, I have to get this house off the market. If this doesn't sell by the end of the week, I lose the listing. When you put that kind of pressure on yourself, which is an illusion, you're in a place called force. And if you don't have someone to violate you, you will create your own counterforce by criticizing yourself, and you will definitely not be in power. You will be in conflict. You will be in force. You'll be in resistance, and you'll be avoiding. And what so many people do is they avoid failing. That's not empowerment, that is force. So what many people do to avoid failing is they procrastinate. They avoid failing by avoiding. But they end up being disappointed because they don't get the outcome they think they want, but they get the outcome that is familiar, disappointment, meaning they don't get the appointment. So words are law. Now, what does that really mean? It means that words don't return void. In the groundbreaking book written in the early 20s, The Game of Life and How to Play It by the great Florence Scovel Shinn, which I was introduced to that book in 1990. Florence Scovel Shinn in Chapter 3 breaks down word is law, and that's in Chapter 3. One man always gets the cable car, the other man always misses the cable car. Now, this was written back in the 20s, and so she was writing in Philadelphia when cable cars were in existence. Today it would be subways, it would be the bus, it would be the L train, it would be BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, or you'd get the first class seat or whatever, but this always happens to me. That is word is law, and so many people speak into existence the very situation they seek to avoid with a limited language style, with a language style not conducive to an outcome that's pleasurable, with a language style that continues to keep them in an overwhelmed state. When you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings, you are you and you are free. And when you can't let go, then you're in the mind, you're going to continue to perpetuate the same set of feelings over and over to create the same outcome. Now, when you are you and you are free, you can really step into your power, and that kind of power is not physical, it's not linear, it's emotional, and that kind of power keeps you in a conscious, aware state where you're not in any anxiety. So when someone says to you, what do you do when you get overwhelmed, you're able to look at them and go, I don't get overwhelmed, because overwhelmed is not a state that I choose to be in. Now, to be able to change your words, it requires an awareness. And if you're not aware of why you do what you do, you'll attract your reality, the same set of communication style that keeps you overwhelmed, emotionally addicted to a set of feelings, and you'll create the same kind of inactions. So a large percent of society use words of disempowerment, kinda, sorta, like to, I need to, and I don't know. I don't know is a very common set of words that are inserted mid-sentence into a large percent of the English language. I don't know. Many people end sentences with I don't know. I mean, they say I don't know. They finish a sentence with I don't know. So they edify that they don't know. When you do know, when you're coming from I am, now you are present. Your language about money is also going to determine whether you have the ability to create, attract, create the transactions, ask for the commitments, ask for the sale, close the transaction, close the sale. But when you use words like this, like I don't want to offend someone, I'm not comfortable, I don't want to be judged, I don't want to make a mistake, I don't want to get in trouble. When you communicate like that, I don't want them to think I'm trying to sell them something. I'm not trying to sell you anything. When you're using that kind of communication style, these are words of disempowerment. Words of disempowerment have a very low energy. When we do muscle testing, they test out at a very, very low vibration. As you change your words, you will change your life. Also, most of society cannot answer a question. You ask someone a question, a yes-no question, and yes-no question turns into a story. You didn't ask for a story, you asked for a commitment. Unfortunately, most of society is commitment phobic rather than commitment conscious. Now, when you're commitment conscious, you're the LOF. You are the law of the few. And when you're the law of the few, now you start to step into a place called one with. That's empowerment. That's enlightenment. You're able to separate your feelings from events. You also begin to separate yourself and detach from people who are emotional, spiritual vampires, who are toxic, who can't commit, who can't decide. It doesn't mean you're better than them. It means you're more evolved than them, in an involved, enlightened, empowered state. And also in society, when you're empowered, you're able to pick up and hear other people communicate, and you're able to navigate, and you're able to move and slide and glide and move away from people. And when you're in empowerment, you're also not dependent. You're independent. You're not codependent or dependent. You're in the flow. You're ITF, in the flow. And when you're in the hands-free zone, then you're in the zone. The zone is a very mythical, magical place where your energy is so high and your vibratory energy is transmuting at such a high level of alignment that people, situations, opportunities, creativity, implementation, it shows up in a very easy, effortless situation called power. And in that type of power, you are empowered. And M is like EM, it really means I am. I am power. It's a non-physical, non-linear state that has magnetization and polarization type of energy, and this is when people begin to show up. The parking spaces show up. It means you're on fire. It means you crush it because you are in a state where there's no separation. There's no separation between you and the outcome. And when you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape your feelings, then you are you and you are free, meaning that you are free of the events that shape your feelings. And then your communication style isn't based on I know. Now, this requires you, if this is you, and I've coached many of you who don't get it. You don't grasp it because you're so in your head. You're in the analytical, egoic mind trying to figuring out. You're so overwhelmed with not making mistakes and trying to get it that you can't possibly get what you can't hold on to. When get is not a word that's of empowerment. How do I get people to an event? How do I get people to close? How do I get my team to follow me? Well, you lead by example and you see who follows in a very relaxed body. When you're in a flexed, flinched, uptight body, you are putting pressure on self and others. And when you put pressure on self, which is an illusion, you are forcing yourself into an energy that you'll be disappointed. Now, as you begin to let go, then you'll stop this. This is the most common words that people use. How do I? How do I? How do I? It's a reflex that most of society uses because they want a technical know-how answer. There's understanding that must be accrued over a period of time. And it's like there's context and content. And what most of society lives in is an instant gratification state right now. And so they want sobriety. They want 30 years of sobriety in their first day. I've seen people do that. They get a little bit of sobriety, and all of a sudden they want to go out and they want to sponsor someone in the program. I've seen people get a little bit of success, and all of a sudden now they're a success coach. Now they're a mentor. They're seeking mentorees. Rather than staying focused on the task at hand, creating results, many people inflate their ego because all of a sudden now they want to go out and help the world. And I see people do this, and I'm like, no, Chief, stay focused. Task at hand. Focus on results. Focus on the place in business that keeps you in business, the word profit. And this is where many people also get so overwhelmed in a place called help. They want to go out and help people. Well, you're not in business to help people. You own a business for profit. Your business is going to rise and fall on your ability to deliver service and value. But when you confuse serving with serve us, now you're going to over-obligate yourself, do too much, enable other people. You're going to put pressure on people. You're going to tell yourself, oh, these people will be really good. Oh, when you speak like this, that's the difference between being delusional and being objective. Now, when you're objective, this neutralizes being positive. You're led to believe that being positive will allow you to get to the promised land. It won't, because positivity is a lot like motivation. It's spray paint on rust. It wears off. Being positive is a component, as is motivation, but being inspired and staying in your body, in the moment, in the present, in a daily process that creates an emotional discipline. When I teach people, when I'm coaching them, it's wax on, wax off, meaning that it's the fundamentals. Without the fundamentals and without the fundamentals of transformation, you'll relapse frequently. So this is the language of empowerment starts with this: discipline, systems, organization, and details. If you're not systematic, if you're not organized, if you're not detailed, then you'll have challenges with the moving parts. You will overwhelm yourself getting overwhelmed. How do I stop drinking? Well, you stop drinking by committing, number one. Is all I have to do is just breathe? Is all I have to do just? This is how people talk. I mean, it's like kindergarten, the way a large percent of society talks. They want instant gratification. They're not willing to stay in the process long enough to master their emotional states so they can transform. You have to let go. You teach yourself that instant gratification, even though is a component to allow you to feel good, instant gratification typically does not in the body release or relax dopamine. It's a more frantic cardio cocktail that people who are reward conscious. There are people who will do more for rewards than they'll ever do for profit. And I see people sabotage their businesses. They win trips so they can go on the cruise instead of creating money so they can stay in business. They'll run back-to-back marathons so they can prove themselves they can finish 2 marathons. And once again, there's nothing wrong with running a marathon. The only challenge is our body's not really made to do it. Now, there is merit to that because it does push the human endurance. It allows your brain to go beyond the wall. I mean, there's many situations that are good about it, but how about being disciplined in your office one day at a time? How about learning how to create profit and free enterprise in a relaxed body? Teach yourself how to create the transactions on a daily basis. Teach yourself how to spot perpetrators, violators, who put you in a position to validate, justify, and explain yourself. Easily and effortlessly let go. Change the way you breathe. Move into a longer breath cycle. Let go of the short breath syndrome that keeps you doing the same thing over and over. Stay in your body in the present, as you're no longer the mind-body connection. Now, what does that actually mean? A mind-body connection means an unresolved issue that you hold on to usually subconsciously and unconsciously, which keeps you saying, I don't know. So when people say to me, I don't remember my childhood, I don't know why I did this, I can't remember anything that happened to me, everything was a blur, I'm not good with memory, what that means is you're not really committed to letting go. Letting go is my ability, that's you, my ability to separate my feelings. That means letting go of my feelings about situations that I give meaning to. So the brain takes a picture of a situation and creates meaning out of it. So if you look at a telephone, a cell phone, a landline, or if you look at your Facebook or your LinkedIn or your Twitter or whatever it is you're looking at, and your body automatically goes into fight or flight, you don't even understand what's happening. All of a sudden you're at the refrigerator, at the refrigerator, you ended up there because your emotions gives off a corresponding response. Your brain took a picture of an event from the past, brought it into the present, created an anxiety about the future, and now all of a sudden you're at the refrigerator stuffing your feelings that are repressed, and you don't understand because you're not willing to pay the price of recovery. Now, if you are willing, that's good because you're on this call, but most of society avoids changing because it would change their identity. It would be the end of the era, the death of their ego. Now, as you begin to step into this space called the present, the space called recovery, as you stop putting so much pressure on yourself and pressure on others. When you put pressure on yourself, which is an illusion, then you will bring that same corresponding response to others. You'll hire a coach like me, set me up to disappoint you, say, I didn't get anything from that hour. Well, fuck, how could you? You weren't listening to anything. You were so intent on being right and so sensitive and defensive that you couldn't let go. That's not empowerment, that is force. And then if you can't find someone to violate you, then you'll criticize yourself. That's your counterforce. That's unfortunately what a large percent of society does to stay in an emotionally unevolved, low vibrational set of energy called anxiety, fear, and doubt. And now if you're in a place tonight where you've suffered enough, you no longer want to be victimized or be a victim, and you're so done with that, and you want to step into recovery, then it requires patience. That's a word that you integrate. I'm not a patient person. Well, that's great, dude. Now you're out before you're in. When you talk like that, when people talk like this, they have most of society has no idea how their brain communicates with their body, and then they stay in fight or flight, wondering how they're going to change. When it comes to money, the language of money must be a language of ease. But when you're trying to find money, when you're out there digging it up, when you're trying really hard to find it, borrow it, get it, well, money doesn't respond to that kind of money talk. Money responds to people who are skilled at creating it. But if money is difficult for you, money is hard, if you've been through bankruptcies and then you blame the market for your bankruptcies, or you blame your partners, or you blame someone else, that's your money talk. Money is not going to respond to you because you're a heartaholic in scarcity. You're communicating the way you communicate. Not only are you in scarcity in money, you're going to be scarce in life. You're going to be scarce in your relationships. You'll attract people and soulmates who aren't really soulmates. They'll be the kind of people you'll be in conflict with to fulfill your feelings of being enforced. Now, empowered, as I am empowered, as you're in your power, I'm in my power. As you are living in that power, your communication style is a language that communicates with the brain and body, so there's a one-with state. You're able to be in a situation, you can sit in an airport and hear everyone else that's overwhelmed talking themselves out of the good life while you're stepping right into your first-class seat because you got upgraded without you even expecting it. And when you're there's a traffic jam, but miraculously you're able to go right through it or right around it, and you're not giving it any energy because you're also in the back of your limousine and you're not driving. And in that place, when you're in the back of your limousine, you've earned it to be in the good life because you've empowered yourself enough to own a for-profit business. You're no longer a struggleaholic. Your credit rating has gone way up. You're no longer a compulsive debtor. And you're sitting there next to your soulmate because you no longer attract people who violate you. And that's the good life. That's not a wish. That's a fact. when you're empowered, because in that kind of energy, those things never happen to you because they just don't. Because you don't attract it. Now, if you do attract it, you go, what do you mean? This always happens to me. We understand that because you speak into existence the very reality that you seek to avoid, and then you stay in a state where I don't know, I don't understand. So when I ask my clients, what are you receiving from this call? And they go, what that means is they've relapsed back into an emotional state called the past. Their communication style is concurrent with their emotions, because their emotions is giving off a corresponding response based on rejection, abandonment, and resentment. Those are the three emotions that keep most of society avoiding any kind of reciprocity, prosperity, increased money, or the accruement of assets. So those kinds of noble strugglers will continue to tiptoe quietly through life, sabotaging what little successes they get so they can justify their disappointment. Now, if this content is actually reaching you tonight and you're going, well, that's great, but how do I? Well, let go of the reptilian brain that has to know the answer, because you are the answer. Don't seek guidance from everyone else. Trust your intuition. Operate on your sense of feel. Operate on your higher calling. Step into your power. Let go of your anxiety. Stop telling yourself stories that keep you doing the same thing over. Get honest with yourself about the payoff you create by perpetuating the same situation over and over. When you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape your feelings, then you are you and you are free. That would be the real you, the one you've been avoiding finding because you're so anxious that you won't be able to control the outcome that hasn't happened. Now, when you let go of control, now control is an illusion, and you cannot be empowered in control. You don't control power. Power is not controllable because power doesn't move. You can control force because force moves from person to person that you'd be in conflict with. Power doesn't move like that. Power is easy. It's effortless. It doesn't require any conflict. It completely stands alone. Power is love. Force is hate. Power is reciprocity. Force is resentment. Power is bliss. Force is rejection. Power is enlightenment. Force is resentment. And so this is a dichotomy that many people live in, the black and white world. And when you let go of being a winner or a loser, that black and white world, when you let go of being right and wrong and you step into power, it's like gravity. The way you move is a lot more fluid. So you can have all days are the same to you. There's no difference between a great day and a bad day. This is a really bad day. Well, no, it's a day because you received the same block of time every day, 86,400 seconds. People go, Jeff, how did you get there? One day at a time. But that's not a textbook answer that I can answer for someone. I mean, every blade of grass I walked upon brought me to a place called now. And I've been very diligent. I've been very clear. I've also been up the down staircase of free enterprise. I rode the cardio cocktail for about 10 years. I've also been through a series of relationships that I had to take a good look and evaluate. How did I attract this? What's my responsibility in this situation? How can I improve the situation in my emotional state so I don't recreate the same situation over and over? It requires reflection, awareness, understanding, letting go, discipline, tenacity, the ability to create transactions daily, the fanfare for the common man, doing more for profit than I do for recognition, not focusing on recognition. I don't require a hug and a high five. I require the profit to pay my employees, service my clients. My clients and my employees are first and second. I pay myself third, even though you're told to pay yourself first. I pay my employees first, taxes second, pay myself third, have a savings plan, free of all debt, have many assets because of the one day at a time principle, living here, living now, and focusing on results and production, not in the neocortex of the left brain. How do I? I don't understand. I can't get this. This always happens to me. In 1990, I changed my life with a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. I unequivocally changed my language style. I began to use words of power, words of affirmation, and then I mastered the language of selling. Now, I'm one of those people who was born to sell. I'm not a natural born anything, but sales I had an affinity for selling, and I realized really early I was good at it. Everywhere I've gone, I can close sales in the first day, first week, because I don't focus on details that don't allow me to sell. I focus on results that allow me to get paid, and I also focus on servicing the clients, delivering the value, creating win-win relationships so I can have repeat customers and referrals. Now, when you start to live in that space, that is empowerment. In the language of selling, you're asking commitment questions. How serious are you about owning a business? How committed are you about changing the quality of your health? How committed are you to selling your house? How committed are you to buying a house? How committed are you to accruing assets? I mean, these are commitment questions. You ask a series of yes-no questions. Those are closed-end questions. You also ask open-ended questions so you can fact-find and rapport build. And in selling, first of all, you have to be able to qualify the buyer. You don't spend time with the wrong people. You devote energy and time to a qualified buyer, someone who's going to receive the value of the product, service, benefits, and feature, someone who wants to live their dreams, who wants to be able to sell the dreams, someone who wants to be able to be here and be now. You look for these people. This becomes a skill. You look for other like-minded people who seek empowerment. And in that kind of empowerment, that type of spirituality, now you'll start to create a culture around that as you become very clear on who you are and what you're committed to achieving. This is the opening and closing language. You close sales early in a conversation by finding the openings. Why would you want to start a business from your home? That's a trial closing question. When I'm sitting next to someone on the airplane and I ask them, how you doing? How's it going? Where are you flying to? That's small talk questions. When I say, what do you do for a career? And they say, an attorney. I go, where did you go to law school? They tell me Loyola of Marymount in Los Angeles, California. I say, that's a great law school. How long have you been practicing law? Is that a good profession for you? That's setting up. When someone voices their dissatisfaction, now I know there's a possibility that I can provide a solution. I'm always looking in problem solving on how I can add value, how I can provide a solution, how a transaction can be created through a value and a service proposition, through a value proposition. When you're able to live in this space called the present and the now, then you're not in force, you're not the counter force. You're not begging, you're not chasing, you're in the here and you're in the now. And you can't lose what you don't have. What does that mean? It means that you become detached to an outcome knowing that you'll create an outcome without an attachment. Because you've become so skilled at who you are that who you are becomes what you do. And in that state of I am state, then you're able to be as accomplished in a profession, and you're able to be as accomplished as a soul having a human experience, meaning you're a human being, not a human doing. So you bring that human being energy into a business, and you're not pressuring yourself. You're not in force because you're so good at being yourself that people are going to buy you without you trying to sell it because there's no pressure. That's called empowerment. And as you walk through life in a state of enlightenment and empowerment, spirituality, and enlightened being, people are going to touch you. They're going to lift their finger and go, are you real? And you, of course I am. I'm from a small town in Iowa. And you're able to be so humble and have so much humility about it that you don't take yourself seriously, and then other people buy into that humility because you're not anxious, you're not pissed off, you're not overwhelmed, you're not in hate, you're not in resentment, you're not in grief, you're not in apathy, you don't self-loathe yourself. You are you and you are free. And in that type of energy, people are feeling your charisma and they want to be a part of it. And in this type of empowered language mindset, you'll attract your reality frequently people of higher levels of energy that will match your energy. You'll be able to attract your reality easily and effortlessly more like-minded success and spiritual seekers who want to be in the same quest and journey with you. And in this type of energy, there's no win-loss. And if someone quits, they're not a loser, they dropped out. It wasn't the right timing. And if someone succeeds today, you're not putting pressure on them to succeed tomorrow because you know that every day is a gift called time, 86,400 seconds, 1,440 minutes. So in that type of energy, you are you and you are free.
Thank you for listening to the More Heart Than Talent Radio. If you enjoyed today's content and would like more insight on how to release emotional overwhelmed and procrastination tendencies, then take advantage of my free Procrastination Cure book giveaway. If you are committed to letting go of your procrastination tendencies, begin the process of changing your identity now so you can finally go from procrastination to producer. To receive your free copy now, go to goldenmastermind.com/pro.